Imagine a world where your thoughts alone could cure a terminal illness, or conversely, manifest one. A world where sugar pills heal faster than groundbreaking medicine, and false diagnoses kill more effectively than poison. This isn't science fiction or some new age fantasy. This is the chilling reality of the placebo and nocebo effects, forces residing within each of us, capable of defying logic and even death. But how deeply embedded are these powers in our very biology, and what happens when they run wild? Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about your own mind, starting now. For centuries, the idea that belief could influence bodily health was often relegated to the realm of folklore, faith healing, or outright charlatanism. Doctors often dismissed subjective improvements reported by patients as mere coincidence or wishful thinking. The medical establishment, grounded in observable, quantifiable data, sought physical agents and chemical reactions. Yet, quietly, persistently, another phenomenon began to surface, one that refused to be ignored. It was the peculiar instance where a patient, given an inert substance, a sugar pill, saline injection, or even a sham surgery, would report significant relief from their symptoms, sometimes even experiencing full remission. This was the birth of the placebo effect, a term deriving from the Latin for "I shall please." Initially, its recognition was begrudging. Early 20th century physicians often viewed placebos as a trick, useful perhaps for hypochondriacs or those deemed to be exaggerating their pain. But as medical science advanced, so did the rigor of its studies. The advent of double-blind, randomized controlled trials in the mid-20th century, designed to eliminate bias, inadvertently cemented the placebo's undeniable power. In these trials, neither the patient nor the doctor knew who was receiving the active drug and who was receiving the placebo. Time and again, the placebo group showed measurable improvements, sometimes nearly mirroring those receiving the actual medication. This wasn't just reported pain relief, it was physiological change, decreased inflammation, altered brain activity, even tumor shrinkage in some anecdotal cases. The body, it seemed, was responding to a drug that wasn't there. But if the placebo effect was already unsettling, a darker, far more sinister twin lurked in its shadow, waiting to reveal itself. While the placebo promises relief, its counterpart, the nocebo effect, "I shall harm," offers a terrifying glimpse into the mind's capacity for self-destruction. Unlike the placebo, which can alleviate suffering, the nocebo effect can manifest genuine symptoms, induce incapacitating illness, and in extreme documented cases, even cause death, all without any harmful physical agent involved. If a patient is told a harmless pill has severe side effects, they might experience those side effects, from nausea to hair loss. If they are informed a routine procedure carries a high risk of complications, their body might actually create those complications. This isn't just psychosomatic, it's physiological sabotage orchestrated by belief. The terrifying implication is that our anxieties, our fears, our very expectations can become a self-fulfilling prophecy of decay. Consider the profound impact of medical prognoses. A doctor's words carry immense weight, often perceived as an immutable truth. What happens when that truth is grim but potentially inaccurate? Stories abound of patients rapidly deteriorating and dying within weeks or months of a terminal diagnosis, only for an autopsy to reveal the extent of the disease was far less severe than initially believed, or even entirely misdiagnosed. Was the body simply aligning itself with the grim expectation? In one chilling case from the 1970s, a man named Clifton Palmo was diagnosed with inoperable liver cancer and given weeks to live. He wasted away, his body shutting down in precisely the manner predicted by his doctors. His death was officially attributed to liver cancer. However, the subsequent autopsy revealed only a few small, benign lesions. His liver was largely healthy. What killed Clifton Palmo? Was it the cancer or the absolute, unshakable belief that he was dying? His own mind essentially authored his demise, a death sentence delivered not by disease, but by the power of suggestion. This isn't an isolated incident. There are countless reports of medical students experiencing symptoms of rare diseases they are studying, or individuals developing allergic reactions when they believe they've come into contact with an allergen, even if it's inert. The fear of gluten, for instance, can cause gastrointestinal distress in individuals consuming a placebo they believe to be gluten. Societal anxieties around certain technologies, such as Wi-Fi or 5G, have led to documented cases of electromagnetic hypersensitivity, where individuals report debilitating physical symptoms, despite no credible scientific link between the technology and their symptoms. Their belief in the harm, however, is very real, and so are their symptoms. The nocebo effect underscores just how fragile the boundary is between our perception of reality and reality itself. Our deepest fears, when given enough mental traction, can manifest as tangible illness, capable of dismantling the body's natural defenses and functions. It's a dark mirror reflecting our own inherent vulnerability to the narratives we create, or are told, about our health and mortality. The true horror of the nocebo effect lies not just in its power to induce symptoms, but its capacity to escalate them to fatal levels. Take the phenomenon of voodoo death, or bone pointing, observed in some indigenous cultures. An individual cursed by a shaman, steeped in the belief that they are doomed, can experience genuine physiological shutdown, refusal to eat or drink, overwhelming fear, and ultimately, death, simply from the psychological trauma and conviction of their imminent demise. Western science initially dismissed these as primitive superstition, but modern research suggests neurobiological underpinnings. The extreme stress response triggered by such a belief can flood the body with cortisol and adrenaline, disrupt the autonomic nervous system, and ultimately lead to organ failure. The heart literally gives out under the weight of utter despair and terror. The brain, our supposed command center, turns against itself, creating a cascade of physiological events that mirror acute illness or injury, but with no external cause. In the clinical setting, the nocebo effect complicates everything. Doctors, ethically obligated to inform patients of potential side effects, often inadvertently trigger them. Studies have shown that simply listing possible adverse reactions on a consent form can increase their incidence in placebo groups. If you're told a drug might make you dizzy, you might become dizzy, regardless of whether you received the actual drug or a sugar pill. This ethical tightrope walk, transparency versus suggestion, is a fundamental challenge in modern medicine. The implications are profound. If negative expectations can trigger genuine physical harm, what responsibility do we bear for the narratives we consume, the fears we harbor, and the medical information we dispense? It forces us to confront an unnerving truth. Our biology is not always an objective machine. It is a highly suggestible, deeply intertwined system where belief can dictate outcome, where the phantom can become real, and where the unseen can kill. To this day, the full extent of the placebo and nocebo effects remains shrouded in mystery, an elusive dance between mind and matter. We understand some of the neurological pathways involved, the release of endorphins and dopamine in placebo responses, the activation of stress hormones and immune suppression in nocebo events. But the why and how deeply they penetrate our core biology continues to perplex. How much of our health, our suffering, and even our mortality is truly dictated by our physical state, and how much is merely a reflection of our most enduring beliefs and fears? These questions linger, haunting the edges of medical science and our understanding of human consciousness. The very fact that our minds can conjure wellness from thin air or manifest disease from pure thought is a testament to an untapped power within us, a power both miraculous and horrifying. Perhaps the most uncomfortable truth is recognizing that the lines between what is imagined and what is real, between sickness and health, are far more permeable than we ever dared to believe. If you're intrigued by the hidden forces that shape our reality, the next video dives into the chilling phenomenon of shared delusions and mass hysteria, revealing how collective belief can warp perception on a societal scale.